Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and we are pumping the brakes just a little bit on the Outer Worlds coverage, changing it up after about a week straight of videos on that game talking about Bully 2, and when I saw this one trending on Twitter, I was caught hella off guard because I don't talk about it enough on the channel on how much I adore the Bully franchise. Bully remains my favorite Rockstar franchise of all time. It's the only Rockstar game I ever achieved 100% completion on, and it's the only one I've actually gone back to multiple times and replayed it. Now, I know that sounds a little funny because Red Dead Redemption 2 happens to be my game of the year for 2018, but there's just something special, unique, and quirky about the Bully franchise, and I would love to see another entry. So this information propped up through the Twitterverse. I saw a report on comicbook.com, which then led me to Swegta, a Bully YouTuber, and his video about Bully possibly coming in 2020, where he received a message from a Rockstar Games leaker. So we're going to talk about that very message, go into some other pieces of information that surround said leak, and then talk about Bully 2 in the current climate and how well it could fare. So let's get straight into it. The way Rockstar, are going about this has completely changed. As it stands, they are aiming to release their next game during the holiday season in 2020, most likely October or November. I can't say for sure, but it appears that is the current state of planning. Basically, what they want to do is release their next upcoming game on next-gen hardware, PS5 and the new Xbox, as well as on current-gen. The motive is really financial, just like with GTA 5 on the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. Now, I found this message a little bit interesting because on the surface it makes sense. Rockstar did capitalize very well with 2 releases of GTA, and GTA 5 continues to somehow, as if I don't know who on this planet doesn't own it at this point, but it somehow continues to rate in at least the top 20 sales every single month for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is insane how many copies of GTA 5 has sold, which is why I don't think Rockstar's next game is going to be GTA 6. GTA Online continues to be a very big and thriving platform for Rockstar. There is no reason for them to hit up GTA 6 at this point in time until they start to see that die out, which, who knows, it seems like there's no end in sight for GTA Online. But anyway, when it comes to capitalizing on the holiday 2020 period, my thoughts were, why rush Bully 2 when you could just do the same with, we'll say, Red Dead Redemption 2, a much more updated game that's already been out, update it with some bells and whistles, and re-release it for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Scarlet. I don't understand quite why they would rush out Bully 2, and it got me thinking about how a lot of the times I know with leakers inside game studios, what they do is feed them false information, and once it starts to come out, they know exactly who leaked that source. So if they told John Doe, hey, guess what? We're actually going to be releasing Bully 2 in 2020, and our aim for that is because of the financial success GTA 5 brought us, and we want to replicate that. And he goes out and tells Swegta, the Bully YouTuber, then they know that John Doe was the guy who was leaking that specific information, and they can get rid of essentially one more leakster in their office. Now, that's just my bit of speculation. I believe Bully 2 is something that is in development. I think the writing's on the wall. It just makes sense. We've seen all of these Rockstar franchises get their next entries. It's been such a long time since the original Bully, so I think it makes sense that they give that another shot. And we all know that Rockstar has this formula of release the base single player game, do the online version later, and then they re-release the game, seemingly in the case of GTA 5, to continue to dip, and then they do the PC sales. So Rockstar knows how to make their games last, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Bully 2 follow that same route. I think Bully Online could very much be a thing, considering the original Bully was extremely faction-based, where you had the preps, the jocks, we had the nerds, and so on, and I feel like you could pick one of those factions, you could create your character, you ally with them, you do faction missions. I feel like a multiplayer mode could work in that game with the funny potato guns and all the different gadgets you get throughout that game, and obviously how they'd expand upon it in Bully 2 with their own creative ideas. I think that there's a lot to do in a bully online. I think there could be a lot to do in a bully online. Now, it's not just this report from Swag to the bully YouTuber, there's also a little bit more on top of that. Canis Canum edit should be something that's quite familiar for a lot of us when it comes to bully. Now, we saw in GTA Online in the brand new casino mode that they released that there is a wall painting for your resort that you can buy that actually has dots all over it that has Morse code standing for 4A and D. My prediction is that this somehow has to stand for perhaps the abbreviation of the college or school or academy, whatever you want to call it, that you will be attending. Furthermore, we can find this very name on a gun in Red Dead Redemption 2, so Rockstar continues to give nods to bully, and not only that way, but they also changed their Twitter layout, and a lot of Rockstar YouTubers who closely cover this company like we do with Bethesda and Obsidian have noted that usually this type of stuff happens in synchronization with an announcement or plans for something in the future. I want to wrap up this entire video with a discussion on Bully 2 in today's climate, because when Bully 1, we'll call it, came out, it was in a, we'll say, less sensitive climate. And I'm not one to always defer any tough subject matter to, oh, you're just sensitive. Oh, the world's just soft now, because I understand people have their own struggles. They have their own things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And some things can re-aggravate that mental, physical injury. And I don't want to do that in today's video, but bullying is a tough subject matter. And I know Rockstar doesn't really pull any punches. You can just look at how they handled GTA 5. I think it was quite honestly one of the game's biggest strengths, the way they tackled a lot of the modern climate and how they translated it in their game and sort of shined a light on that type of stuff. I thought it spoke very loud about how they felt about certain things, but I thought it made some missions more entertaining. I thought it made the commentary in the game a lot more interesting, and it gave you something to think about. And I think Bully could do that for the school life of a lot of people. But on the other hand, many people, myself included, have been bullied in the past. I was bullied in junior high, actually, in 7th grade. I remember specifically going to a lunch table. Just a group of like 8 kids were just tormenting me about being a ginger. I had no idea what being a ginger meant. I remember going home just kind of confused, and then I sat down again at the same table because I had nowhere to sit. I didn't have any friends. They continued to call me a ginger. I went home. I remember sitting in my laundry room. My friends were supposed to come over, and all I did was cry. Like, I've been through it, man. Like, it is really tough getting bullied because I felt alone, and fortunately I had a friend that I literally said saved me in a sense. You know, he said, hey, you want to come sit with us? And since that day I was not bullied again, and it was very nice. It was very liberating, but I've been through it, so I know the subject matter of bullying is a tough one for a lot of folks out there. But personally, I discovered Bully after that time that I had been bullied, and it never re-aggravated anything, triggered anything, made me feel uncomfortable. I thought it was such a fun game because I thought it tackled being a bully in the most cliche way. And also they made Jimmy such a lovable protagonist. They turned him into not a D-bag. So quite honestly, I think that was one of the game's strengths, and it helped you kind of fall in love with Jimmy as a character. But also the way you could run around with a potato gun, throw eggs at people, throw stink bombs at teachers, put firecrackers in toilets, stuff people in lockers, give swirlies, stuff that is your typical thought when you think of your average day in, day out bully. You know, these cheesy bully tactics that I really have never heard in my high school career, my junior high career, and so on. I've never heard of any of this type of stuff happening before, but this is like your back then style bully. You know, giving people a wedgie. That's something that we don't see nowadays, or at least I've never personally seen in my life. Not saying it doesn't happen, but there was just that whimsical nature when it came to bully that not many other games had, and so to be able to experience that and experience the school life and the faction life and sort of start to unite them through Jimmy, there was just something special about that. So I think in today's climate, Bully 2 will naturally gain a lot of negative attention right off the rip because of its title. I just think that that's something that's inevitable for Rockstar, and I'm sure they are well aware of that. But at that point in time, I think that's where you just double down and say, let's just make the game we want, because even if we dance around the subject matter, we try to make sure that we're catering to everybody and that no one's offended. At the end of the day, people will still find something to be upset with, and we will still have a game labeled Bully 2 where people always point the finger at to blame for something that happens in the real world. So in my honest opinion, when it comes to Bully 2, Rockstar, just make the game you want. You guys have always done that. I doubt that'll that'll change now, and I think they'll do just fine with it. But I can't wait. I'm happy to see Bully 2 is in the rumor mill, and I hope to see more and more of it. I imagine it'll be slow pickings for a while until we actually have something, I'd say, a little bit more substantial. But I really wanted to capitalize on this opportunity to talk about Bully with all of you out there and offer my thoughts on the franchise. It's one I love, and it's one that was pretty fundamental to me when it came to getting through a rough patch in my life. You know, it was a great game, and I love it for what it did for me. So overall, that's just my story, and that's my thoughts on the Bully 2 rumors, as well as how Bully 2 could fare in today's climate. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.